the end of the day, and I can say this is not an excuse. My son never indulged in drugs around me. You got to realize I'm his dad, bro. And I was a disciplinarian. I was strict, structured. So certain things I didn't see. I never saw Quan pop a pill in front.
Sleep on the couch. Be sitting this morning, or he never came to bed last night. Sleep on the couch. Left on the couch before I took my son to school this morning and put a blanket over him. And now I just picked on him again because he never got up. I don't feel a heartbeat. I don't see him breathing.
Rich Homie Quan's been off the map for almost 2 years now, but the mystery around his death still won't fade. That whole overdose story, it never really added up. Now people are whispering that the last folks who saw Quan alive might be holding back some serious info. There's talk of quiet deals, strange behavior, and maybe even a cover-up that's been sitting right in front of everyone's eyes. The truth sounds way messier than what the reports claimed.
Probably ain't getting in the studio or listen to the radio for 2 years.
Because of what, though?
Why drop when you ain't even been paid for some type of way? You ain't even paid for walkthroughs, so my mind is yeah, I had to fuck with your confidence.
You were, at that particular point in time, the hottest song probably in America. You wasn't paid.
Nah, but at that time I wasn't paid. BMI, my publishing, all I knew was show money.
But before we dive into all that, let's rewind to the day everything went wrong. It was September 5th, 2024, the day Quan lost his life at just 34 years old. According to the official story, his brother, Andre, was the first to find him around 3 a.m. He walked into the kitchen, and there was Quan, lying on the floor. He still had food in his mouth, unresponsive, not breathing, completely still. Anyone who's ever walked in on a loved one like that would panic, right? You'd call for help, check for a pulse, something. But that's not what happened here. Andre told the police he just picked Quan up and moved him to the couch. That's it. No frantic 911 call, no rush for help, no urgency at all. It's like he already knew there was nothing to be done, like he'd accepted it before even trying. That part alone got people scratching their heads. Then a few hours later, around 6:45 a.m., Quan's baby mama, Amber, wakes up. She gets the kids ready, takes them to school, and comes back home. That's when she sees him. Quan still on the couch, cold, foam around his mouth, not breathing. Finally, she calls 911. And that's when the internet lost it. When that 911 call dropped, people started giving the whole situation a serious side-eye. Something felt way off. People couldn't stop talking about the 911 call. It just didn't sound right. The tone threw everyone off because it felt like someone going through the motions, not a woman freaking out while the father of her kids was slipping away. Online, folks were saying it sounded like Amber already knew he was gone before she even picked up the phone. And then there's Andre again. Quiet, calm, barely saying a word to explain himself. He was the first one there, saw everything before anyone else, and still didn't call for help. He didn't even mention checking if his own brother was still alive. Just said he moved him to the couch like it was nothing. That part really had people uneasy.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? So I do the litigation to sue the TIG company. I sued them. Okay. Settled out for undisclosed amount. That check. They throw some way after that.
That's when the questions started flying. Did they know more than they were letting on? Was this planned, or was it something they just let happen? One person online even wrote, "That's crazy, because if I know my man ain't been in bed all night, I'm checking on him. That's crazy." Another person online said, "She is so wrong. I can't believe this. She's too calm talking to that operator." And that's when things exploded. Rumors started swirling fast. People were saying Andre and Amber weren't just living under the same roof. They were allegedly way too close behind Quan's back, too close for comfort. Then Quan passes, and instead of grief, Andre's actions have folks shaking their heads even harder. He started posting in Quan's clothes, throwing up laughing emojis, and acting like he just stepped into Quan's life overnight. People claim he was even out here trying to make money off obituaries. Yeah, allegedly asking for cash to help with arrangements. And get this, he was hitting up big-name artists for collabs just days after his own brother's death. The streets were saying, that don't look like pain, that looks like profit. And then came one voice that got everyone's attention, Hurricane Chris. While some tried to stay quiet or play it neutral, Chris came out swinging. He didn't claim to have evidence, and he didn't say he was there, But he made it clear the whole thing smelled off, like somebody was hiding the truth. And when someone from inside the industry says that out loud, that's when people start digging for real answers. That's when the laced pill story started spinning back into the spotlight. At first, the public was told it was a typical overdose. Fentanyl, codeine, promethazine, THC, the same tragic combo we've heard too many times in the rap world. But people who really knew Quan weren't buying that for a second, especially his father. Months later, Quan's dad spoke out, still shaking, still trying to make sense of it all. He said straight up that the story didn't match the son he knew. Quan wasn't a pillhead. Sure, his boy smoked and had a few drinks, but that deadly mix, it just didn't fit his lifestyle at all. Something felt off, like someone was forcing a story that didn't belong to him.
Who do you want to collab with in the near future?
Who I want to collab with in the near future? Justin Bieber, Beyonce, and Rihanna.
That'd be fire.
Yeah, too hard.
And this wasn't just a father refusing to face the truth. This was a man who really knew his son. They talked every day, not just once in a while. Their bond was tight, more like best friends than just father and son. Maybe that's because Quan's dad never had a real father figure himself, so he made sure his son did. So when Quan's dad heard what supposedly killed his son, something deep in his spirit just didn't sit right. Then came the toxicology report, and that's when things got even weirder. People online noticed how fast that report dropped, way too fast. No delays, no confusion, no back and forth. It came out clean, tidy, and wrapped up like someone wanted it off the table, quick. That alone had folks suspicious, because toxicology reports, especially for public figures, never move that fast. Usually there's waiting, extra testing, press leaks. But this one, boom, done. Now stack that on top of everything else. The calm 911 call, Andre's strange behavior, the rumors about Andre and Amber being too close, and then the curveball nobody expected. Another woman in the house that morning. Her name, Kia Brown. Yeah, that name's been floating around ever since. She's not family, not famous, not even well known, but reportedly she was right there in the house when everything went down. When the cops questioned Kia Brown, people said her energy was all over the place, real shaky. Some folks online claim she was trying to leave right after dropping something off that might have been harmful, allegedly. Others said she gave half answers, dodging questions about who was in the house and what exactly she saw that night. She was never pushed into the spotlight or made the main suspect, but in the streets, her name never left the conversation. Too many people in that house, too many mixed stories, and way too much time before anyone called for help. It just didn't sit right with the public. That's when the streets started zooming out, thinking bigger than just what happened inside that house, because Quan wasn't just some random dude. He was a name. He wasn't struggling, broke, or desperate. He had value. And in this game, value brings enemies, jealousy, and hidden motives. At first, all eyes shifted towards Young Thug. People were saying the logic made sense. Quan had allegedly been cleaning up his life, stepping away from old habits and trying to move smart, and that might have made some folks uncomfortable. There were quiet whispers spreading fast that Quan might be ready to testify, or that he was planning to separate himself from certain circles, maybe even speak up about something serious. But that theory didn't stick for long. People close to Young Thug shut it down quick, saying Thug had real love and respect for Quan. When the news of his passing hit, Thug reportedly broke down. No fake tears, no acting, just real pain. And honestly, nothing about Quan's death would have benefited him at all.
And there ain't nothing that excites me.
I have seen that when we do get the riches, it's still outside of us. And you can never get enough. And yet it doesn't fill you up. Am I making any sense to you?
Yeah, it's not enough.
You'll never get enough because it will never fill you up. And so consequently you go, oh God,
What else am I looking for?
when I get the $1 million,
Then what?
then when I get the house,
Then
okay,
what?
and then I get the car.
Then what?
Okay, let me go.
So that theory faded, but one thing stayed loud. Quan was clearly trying to pull away from some folks. Not naming names, not making drama, just moving different, trying to protect his peace. But in this industry, that move can be dangerous. Stepping away means you're not playing by their rules anymore, and that makes people nervous. Lil Woody even hinted at it in a conversation that shook folks. He said people get taken out when they decide to stand tall or walk away, when they don't want to be controlled or used like a pawn anymore. He didn't drop names, but the streets, they started connecting dots quick. And that's when Birdman's name started floating back into the mix, the same man who originally linked Quan and Thug in the first place. Even Quan himself had once hinted that their connection wasn't as smooth as it looked. Word on the street is that Birdman might have played a quiet role in splitting Quan and Thug apart once their bond started getting too strong. People say their connection was becoming powerful, too independent, too uncontrollable.
What's your thoughts on Rich Homie Quan passing?
Yeah.
It's sad, man. It's sad. Rich Homie had a lot of potential. You feel me? Like, he just made wrong choice in the past. What could have that hurt his career. And he didn't have to make that choice. But sometimes people gotta learn how to stand up for themselves. Don't be intimidated by no group of people.
Fans online have been claiming for years that Birdman doesn't like when artists start moving without him, when they become untouchable and no longer need his hand in their business. Because once artists grow beyond the leash, that's when things start getting shaky. Now, nobody's saying Birdman pulled a trigger or slipped any pills. That's not the claim. But the industry doesn't always use weapons made of metal. Sometimes the weapons are money, access, and silence. Power moves happen behind closed doors, where a phone call or a favor can change someone's fate overnight. And when you look at Quan's death through that lens, the idea of something internal, an inside move, doesn't sound too far-fetched anymore. But in the middle of all that chaos, one voice decided not to feed the storm. DC Young Fly. He wasn't chasing clout or throwing shade. DC had known Quan and his family since way back in 2003. That's real history, not some industry friendship. At the funeral, he didn't stir up gossip or point fingers. He just spoke from the heart, reminding the family to keep living, to stay strong, and to keep moving forward. Even though the autopsy still didn't sit right and real answers were missing, DC reminded everyone that life's temporary. We're all just passing through. What truly matters, he said, is what we do with the time we got. His words hit hard. They felt real, raw, and grounding in a moment full of confusion and pain. But that calm, powerful moment made everything else surrounding Quan's death feel even darker. While DC was trying to bring peace to a grieving family, everyone else seemed busy trying to make sense of behavior that flat out didn't add up. It was like every piece of the story came with its own shadow.
Because all the morals and the doctrines, this is the only time that we really apply it. When we hurt Job, everybody go read the book of Job. Just read the book of Job.
Now the situation's layered, messy, and mysterious. You've got a brother who found Quan first, but never called for help. A baby mama whose calm voice on that 911 call still sends chills. A random woman, Kia Brown, whose presence that morning remains a mystery. A father who refuses to believe the official cause of death. And on top of that, you've got industry insiders hinting at foul play, power players circling the story, and a toxicology report that wrapped up way too fast. Everything about it still feels unfinished, like there's a truth buried deep that no one's ready to face. This isn't just a tragedy, it's a straight-up puzzle, and the internet refuses to stop piecing it together. People are digging, questioning, replaying every little detail, and it's only getting louder. One guy online went all in, saying what a lot of folks have been too scared to say. When she put that blanket over him, how did she not notice he was foaming at the mouth? Another pointed out that Dre himself said it was unusual for Quan to be on the floor with food in his mouth, so why didn't he call an ambulance right away? None of it adds up. And Amber? People still can't get over how calm she sounded on that 911 call. One person says straight up, if that was me, I would have been hysterical. Another commented, it don't matter if he OD'd or somebody gave him bad, it still killed him, and somebody needs to be held accountable. At this point, it's not just street gossip, it's about truth. Too many questions, too many gaps, and not enough real answers. Until someone finally breaks the silence and explains what really went down in that house that morning, Rich Homie Quan's name is gonna keep circling the block, louder than ever. So here's the real question that got everybody talking. Was Rich Homie Quan really taken by an overdose, or did somebody in that house know exactly what was about to happen? Because the way this story twists, it's hard to tell where the truth begins and the lies end. And if Quan really was trying to distance himself from certain circles, then we gotta ask, who had the most to gain from his downfall? Who really benefited when his light went out? This whole situation feels deeper than what's on paper, and the streets aren't letting it slide until a full truth comes out. What do you think really went down that morning? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation alive. And don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any more wild stories straight from the heart of the streets.